In our last video, we uncovered the hidden problems with cash that we use every day. But today, we are diving into something even more powerful, something that could completely change how we see money: cryptocurrency. Now, I know this might sound complex, especially if you're not from a tech or finance background, but I promise you, I've broken it down in the simplest way possible. If you truly understand this, you will be ahead of 99% of people who still have no idea how the future of money works. So stay with me till the end because this video could literally shift your financial mindset forever. What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a form of virtual money that is secured by blockchain technology. I repeat, cryptocurrency is a form of virtual money that is secured by blockchain technology. So how does a cryptocurrency work? Just like your Google Pay, Phone Pay, online banking, net banking, but in a decentralized manner. It is fully digital, not controlled by any government nor by any bank. To be more clear, let's first understand how transactions are stored in a bank or any payment gateway. Every transactions that we do is stored as a data in the form of ledger, and a ledger looks like this. For now, we trust the bank and they take care of this ledger. But how do we make this ledger decentralized? Making a public ledger that is not run by the government or any bank or any other private sector, but by the people who actually use the token, governed by you and many people like you with the help of computers. This is the solution. The process is simple. Remove the attribute of trust from the ledger that we have over our banks or over the government or any private sector by replacing that trust with cryptography, which is computational work. This is how cryptocurrency is born. To understand how to do this, we have to understand ledgers and digital signatures. To clearly understand the Bitcoin ledger, we have to understand the problems with handwritten public ledgers. Let us say there is a public ledger that anybody can use, and for this example, let us consider four different people who exchange transactions. Let it be Robert, Ram, Rashid, and Radha. So this is the public ledger protocol that we have right now. We'll do the necessary corrections when we face a problem. As of now, the first protocol is anyone can add lines to the ledger, and the second protocol is settle up with real money each month. This is how a ledger looks like. Let us say Ram, Robert, Radha, and Rashid. Everyone can write their transactions that they made, and they will just settle up with physical money for what they have spent on the ledger at the end of every month. Like if someone spent more, they will take money out of the pot, and if someone spent less, they will put more money into the pot. Here, Rashid paid for all three and more than he spent. At the end of the month, he'll take money from those three when they deposit what they spent. But how can we say that everyone will be true and write only the transactions that were actually happened? Like what if someone make a fake transaction? Like in this case, the last transaction never really happened, but it is there written by Radha as Robert has paid Radha a 2000. To prevent this, we come up with handwritten signatures. Whenever someone makes a transaction, the sender writes it in the ledger and sign it by hand. But couldn't we just copy the handwritten signatures? It is very easy to copy a handwritten signature. That too if the signature is very easy to copy. This is where the first part of cryptography begins. Let us see how this helps to create a digital signature. To overcome the problems faced by handwritten signatures, we come up with digital signatures using cryptography. But what are digital signatures? To be more clear, imagine a digital signature looks like a strings of ones and zeros, commonly something like 256 bits, like this one here. This is generated using SHA-256 cryptographic function. How this works is too complicated, but keep in mind when you run this function on a computer SHA-256 with a message, the computer will generate an output that looks like a random 256-bit string consists of ones and zeros, but it is not random. It looks random, but not. For every given input, SHA-256 function gives an output, but for the same input, it will generate the same output no matter how many times you try. For example, here the message is RAM with capital R. If you run SHA-256 to capital R RAM, you will get an output like this. But if you run the message by changing just the letter R with lowercase r, the output will be completely different. See this again? Can you spot the difference? Alright, we have tackled the problem with handwritten signatures using digital signatures. But couldn't we just copy the digital signatures? This is where the public key and secret key pairs come in. What are public key and secret key or private key? In definition, when you digitally sign a document, your computer uses a special secret key only you have to create a signature. This signature is attached to the file. When someone else open it, their computer uses public key which is shared openly to check did you really sign it? Was the file not changed after you sign it? If both answers are yes, the signature is valid. If edited even one word, the signature becomes invalid. Imagine with public key, they can't see the secret key, but they both are linked. Just like knowing your email address, they can't find your password, but they both are linked. For example, PK10011001 is linked to SK11001100. For every different user, they will have a different public key and secret key. The public key will be open to everyone, but the secret key will be available only for the user to see and use. And producing a digital signature involves a function which depends on the message itself and the secret key, like this. SHA-256 function along with the message and the secret key gives you the digital signature. So here the message is the transaction details. The secret key will be the key that the user would have used to sign the transaction, which is private and only available for him to use. When you run these two, the message and the secret key, in the function SHA-256, you will get a string of 256 bit which is called the digital signature. So a small change in the message will change the digital signature entirely unpredictable. So nobody can copy one of your signature and then forge it in another message. For example, see the message in the last transaction. It is 628, but if someone else went and changed it to 6280, the digital signature will change respectively, completely unpredictable. So digital signature changes for different message. So hand in hand goes another function to verify the signature. This involves the message. In this case, it's the transaction details and the digital signature that is provided with the transaction by the sender and the public key that everyone knows, which is linked to the secret key that only the sender knows, to produce an output as true or false. We are not going to get deep into how this function works, but the idea is to make sure it is secure. To simply put, there is no strategy better than just guessing and checking random signatures, which you can check using the public key that everyone knows with the verify function to know if it is true. Just like finding the last digits of your phone number. If it is just the last number, you just have about 10 guesses. But if it is last 5 digits, it will be a bit difficult. But 256 is a big number to guess and check because it has 2 to the power of 256 possibilities. This number is stupidly large with nearly 4 billion to the power of 8 possibilities. To understand how massive this number really is, check out the video linked in the description from the channel 3 Blue 1 Brown. A brilliant explanation, not just for crypto enthusiasts but for everyone interested in cryptography, a must watch. To simply put, if the signature is verified against the given message is valid, we can surely say that the message is produced and digitally signed by the person with the private key or the secret key linked with the public key we use to verify. But we could still copy the entire message and repeat it multiple times. How to prevent this? So we use unique ID, which is UID, along with the message so that digital signature changes for each transaction. So now the digital signature changes for each transaction and becomes genuine so that nobody could copy the entire transaction and repeat it multiple times. So now let us update the ledger protocol that we have. We add a new rule which is only digitally signed transactions are valid. On our current ledger protocol, we say everyone settle up with real cash each month. But what if someone using the ledger didn't settle up with real cash and refused to pay the debt? For example, what if Robert refused to pay the amount he spent on the ledger because he spent more than he has in hand as real cash, which is fiat currency? The idea is, what if you don't actually need to settle up with cash every month? Instead, what we do is start by making everyone invest a sum of 1000 into the ledger account first and make a note of it. And we change the rule in the ledger protocol as no overspending. This way, if Robert tries to spend more than what he has in the ledger account, the transaction becomes invalid. This shows us verifying the transaction requires to know the full history of transactions. In cryptocurrency, it doesn't work exactly like this. There is still room for improvement. I'll explain that in a while. This step removes the connection between the ledger and actual currency. Think about it. Why do people need cash if everyone in the world started using the ledger to send and receive money? To make it even clear, let us assume currency which is noted on the ledger as BTC. So instead of talking in dollars or any other fiat currencies, we use BTC as standard. We are free to exchange BTC to any real physical currency or commodities in the real world. For example, Radha gave 50 rupees to Ram in the real world. In exchange, Ram wrote down that he paid 50 BTC to Radha in the public ledger, digitally signed. Or this can work like Radha gave 5 mangoes to Ram in the real world. In exchange, Ram wrote down that he paid 50 BTC to Radha in the ledger,
digitally signed. Did you know in 2010, Laszlo Honeyatz made the first recorded commercial transaction with Bitcoin, buying two pizzas for 10,000 BTC. The 10,000 BTC used for purchase is now worth over $1.1 billion, highlighting the cryptocurrency's dramatic rise in value. This is very important. This is the first thing to understand about a cryptocurrency. Ledger is the transaction history, and this transaction history is the currency. Now we are about to understand blockchain technology. We know in theory, if everyone in this world is using this ledger, we could live our whole life by sending and receiving money through ledger without ever have to convert to real physical currency. But where is this ledger? Who controls it? Is this ledger a website? If so, who hosts it? If not the government, not the bank, then who? Who controls the rules to add new lines to the ledger? This is the main issue to make a decentralized currency. To remove the trust that we have over someone, we will have everybody to keep their own copy of the ledger. Then, when anyone makes a transaction, they simply broadcast their transaction into the world, letting everyone know that they made a transaction. Like Robert paid Rashid 100 BTC, Robert broadcasts it into the world, letting everyone write it in their ledger. But unless we do something more to make people trust all these ledgers are the same, it would create confusion. Imagine Rashid receives the broadcast as Robert paid Rashid 100 BTC. But what if Ram didn't receive the broadcast? So Rashid can't make any purchase from Ram unless Ram also writes the transaction, the two in the same order. How can he be sure that everyone is listening to the broadcast and records it in their ledger in the same order as everyone? This is the problem addressed in the original Bitcoin paper. How can we solve this? The solution which the Bitcoin offers is to trust whichever ledger has the most computational work put into it. The computational work is the proof of work using cryptographic hash function. The main tool here is cryptographic hash function. The main idea behind this is if you use computational work as a basis for what to trust, you can make it so that fraudulent transaction and conflicting ledger would require an infeasible amount of computation to bring about. Now we are getting tangled up in complexities. Just to use a cryptocurrency, this level of understanding is not needed. But it is really a cool idea. If you understand it, you're gonna understand the heart of cryptocurrency. Also, you will become a part of 1% of people in the world who are elite beings. Okay. Now, what is a cryptographic hash function? Let us take SHA-256 cryptographic hash function. When you run this function on a computer along with a message or a file, it gives an output as a string of ones and zeros. It looks random, but it is not random. It always gives you only one respective output for given input, no matter how many times you try. But by changing just one of the character in the input, completely changes the output. But inverse is infeasible, which means message cannot be recreated with string of ones and zeros. There is simply no other option other than guessing and checking. With guess number 1, guess 2, guess 3, guess 4 and so on up to 4 billion to the power of 8 guesses. That takes a lot of computational work. Hence, it makes this cryptographic hash function highly secure. No one has ever figured out how to reverse engineer this SHA-256 hash function yet. And there is no solid proof that this is unbreakable. Yet, huge amount of modern security depends on this cryptographic hash function. This cryptographic hash function is used for most of the security features by YouTube, Facebook, banks, etc. But how such a function can prove that a particular list of transaction is associated with a large amount of computational work? What if someone says that they have found a special number, and if you put that special number at the end of the list of transactions and apply SHA-256 function to the entire message, you will get a hash or digest that will have the first 30 digits as 0. How hard do you think it will be to find that special number? For a random message, the probability that the hash happens to start with 30 zeros is 1 in a billion. Since SHA-256 is a cryptographic hash function, the only way to find the special number is by guessing and checking. First, have to try with 1, then have to try with 2, then 3 and so on until you hit a hash that starts with 30 zeros. So to find the special number, a person has to go through a billion different numbers before finding the special one. But if you know the special number, it is very easy to verify. We just need to put that number at the bottom of the message and run SHA-256 cryptographic hash function to see if we get a hash with first 30 digits as zeros. So now we know that to find that special number, they went through a lot of work, but without have to go through the same effort ourselves. This is called proof of work. And importantly, all of this work is intrinsically tied to the message or the list of transactions. If you change the message even slightly, like here, if we try to change the 50 BTC to 500 BTC that Robert paid to Ram, it would completely change the hash. So they have to go through another billion guesses to find the special number, which gives the string with 30 zeros when SHA-256 function is performed. Coming back to what to trust, the solution which the Bitcoin offers is to trust whichever ledger has the most computational work put into it. To quantify the work, we must first group these transactions into blocks. Keep this in mind, ledger plus proof of work is called as a block, where each block consists of list of transactions. For now, let's keep it 2400 transactions per block with the proof of work. Just like a transaction is considered valid only with the digital signature by the sender, a block is only considered valid if it has a proof of work. We already know what proof of work is. It is a special number which when attached at the bottom of the list of transaction, which when performed in the function SHA-256 along with the message, gives a string, a hash with let's assume 30 zeros for now. Let's change it to a systematic approach later. For now, let's keep it 30 zeros. Additionally, to log the order of the blocks being generated, we add the hash of the previous block at the top of the new block as its header, like this. This way, if we were to go back and change any one of the block's content or to swap the order of blocks, it will be a total mess. Because a change here will change everything after it. It would change the block that comes after it, it would change the block's hash, which in turn changes the one that comes after it, and so on. That would require redoing all of the work, finding the special number all by yourself for all the upcoming blocks, which is very difficult. I'll explain how difficult in a while. Now, if you zoom out a bit, what do you see? A chain? Ah, the blockchain. So, what do we have in the blockchain protocol now? Anyone can add lines to the ledger, only signed transactions are valid, blocks are verified using proof of work, made into a blockchain, locking the order. Adding more points to the protocol, we now allow anyone in the world to be a block creator. These block creators are called miners. The process of finding the special number after adding their address in the reward section of the block is called mining. What do the block creators have to do? They listen to the transaction being broadcasted, collect those transactions into a block, provide proof of work, guessing and checking with SHA-256 to find the special number which when added and run gives an hash with 30 zeros. Then broadcast the new block into the world for everyone to add it in their existing chain after verifying it. As a reward, they were given the opportunity to include a transaction at the bottom of the ledger, for now say 50 BTC. This is called the block reward, and it is an exception to our usual rules about whether or not to accept the transaction. It doesn't come from anyone, so it doesn't have to be signed. Can you understand? So what is a block reward? The block creator write their address in the block reward space available inside the block, and then guess and finds the special number which when run with the function SHA-256 gives an hash with 30 zeros and broadcast it to the world. So they get around 50 BTC out of thin air. This also means that total number of BTC in circulation increases with each new block. Let's try this one more time from a different angle. What does block creators do? They listen to the broadcast of transaction, collect those transactions into a block. After adding their address in the block reward space, they use computational power to find the special number, which is the proof of work, then broadcast it into the world for everyone to add it in their existing chain after verifying it. These block creators are called as miners and in some cases called as nodes. Let's briefly discuss the block reward. No signature required since it is not sent by anyone. Money is created out of thin air after a lot of computational work. This is why it is called as mining, just like gold. Block rewards gets added to the total supply, thus the total number of BTC will increase with each new block. Among many miners, only the one who finds the special number first gets the reward. Okay, now what does the users have to do? Users who only use the currency without mining should listen to the blocks instead of broadcasted transactions. Now to our existing blockchain protocol, we add a new rule that if there are two conflicting blockchains, we always trust the longest chain, the chain with more computational work put into it. When you have blockchains of equal length, then just wait and then trust the longest one. Simply put, trust the computational work. So if a fraudulent transaction has been added by one of the miners, then that miner should keep finding the special number for all the upcoming blocks ahead of every other miner, which is overwhelming even with at least 50% of computational power used by all the miners combined. Even Google or big tech giants can't do this consistently. But there is just few more details to clear up. Earlier I said proof of work might be to find a special number which when attached at the bottom of the list of transaction and running the function SHA-256 gives a string or hash with at least 30 zeros. But the way the actual Bitcoin works is to periodically change the number of zeros so that it should take on an average 10 minutes to find a new block. So as there are more and more miners added to the network, the challenge gets harder and harder in such a way that this miniature lottery only has about one winner every 10 minutes. Some upcoming cryptocurrencies have much shorter block time than this, like ETH is 15 seconds, XRP is 3.5 seconds, Solana is 400 milliseconds. All the new BTC comes from the block reward. In the beginning, these rewards were 50 BTC per block. But in Bitcoin protocol, every 210,000 blocks, which is about 4 years, this reward gets cut in half. This is called as Bitcoin halving, which happened recently, making the current block reward as 3.125 BTC per block. The block reward in 2009 was 50 BTC. In 2012, it was 25 BTC. In 2016, the reward was 12.5 BTC. In 2020, the reward was 6.25 BTC. In 2023, the reward changed to 3.125 BTC. Since this reward decreases geometrically over time, there will only ever be 21 million bitcoins in existence. This doesn't mean that the miners will stop earning money. In addition to block reward, miners can also pick up transaction fees. The way this works is that whenever you make a payment, you can purely, optionally include a transaction fee with it that will go to the miner of whichever block includes that payment. For example, a transaction like this. Robert pays Radha 0.42 BTC and leaves 0.001 BTC to the miner. The reason anyone might add a transaction fee is to incentivize miners to actually include the transaction you broadcast into the next block. In Bitcoin, each block is limited to about 2400 transactions, which many critics argue as unnecessarily restrictive. For comparison, Visa processes an average of 1700 transactions per second and are capable of handling more than 24,000 transactions per second. This comparatively slow process on Bitcoin makes for a higher transaction fees, since that what determines which transactions miner choose to include in the new block. This is just the tip of an iceberg. There are still a lot of topics that I haven't covered, but with this, you understand the heart of cryptocurrency. On the next video, we will talk about why should we use this technology and more, so stay tuned. Until then, happy trading.